MrBeast spent $3.5 million on his video recreating the Squid Game event in real life, though on a much smaller scale. But have you ever wondered how much the real deal would actually cost? That's exactly what we're going to answer in today's video, the approximate total operational cost of Squid Game. From bribes to facilities, we'll try to cover all expenses involved in running this deadly operation. Let's start with the most obvious cost, the Squid Game prize, which is the equivalent of $33 million. Moving on to the next expense, one that I think many people overestimate, the guards' salaries. To figure this out, we first need to know how many guards there are in Squid Game. Unfortunately, there's no official number, so we can only speculate. There should be at least 222 circle guards. Back in Season 1, when Jun-Ho first entered the guards' quarters, the highest room number we saw in the corridor was 111. He turned left, but other soldiers turned right into another corridor, which suggests there were at least 111 rooms there as well. So, a reasonable estimate would be around 250 circle guards. They're the lowest ranking guards, tasked with cleaning, distributing food, and preparing the games. For the triangle guards, when No Yul joined, we saw 3 trucks filled with soldiers. Considering how many appeared during the rebellion, and given that they hold more responsibility than the circles, it makes sense to assume there are fewer of them. If circle guards number around 250, then triangle guards would likely be about half of that, around 125. As for the square managers, we know there are at least 30, since we saw them in the control room overseeing the games, as well as on-site supervising. Using the same logic as before, their numbers should be about half of the triangles, so we'll estimate around 60. We also have the waiters in the VIP lounge, of which there are at least 10. These can be grouped with the circle guards. Finally, there are the recruiters, and yes, I believe there are more than one. I'd estimate their number at around 10. To create a neat correlation between the number of employees and the number of players, we'll assume the total staff also equals 456. That gives us 250 circle guards, 125 triangle guards, 60 square guards, 10 recruiters, and 10 waiters. This makes 455 in total, with the front man as the 456th. The black square mask is still considered part of the square rank, which is why I didn't count him separately. Now, how much would they actually be paid? Honestly, not much. The evidence suggests this. For example, Noelle had to live in her car and work part-time jobs. Even if she had spent her savings searching for her daughter, she should have at least been able to afford a room. Another clear sign of low wages is the fact that some guards turn to illegal organ trafficking to earn extra money. If the pay were decent, they wouldn't risk it. The guards are treated with little respect by the front man and seen as disposable, just like the players, which suggests their position is neither powerful nor well compensated. Many appear to be in financial ruin themselves. Based on all of this, I assume circle guards earn just a little above minimum wage, which is $7.32 per hour, or about $31,200 per year. For one edition of Squid Game, let's estimate their payout at $50,000 each. With 250 circle guards, that totals $12.5 million. If circle guards earn $50,000, triangle guards, with more responsibility, would earn about 1.5 times more, or $75,000 per edition. With 125 triangle guards, that adds up to $9.375 million. Square guards, being the highest ranking and most responsible, would be in the top salary range. I'll estimate their pay at $200,000 per edition, which totals $11.8 million for all 60. The black square mask should logically earn more, so I'll place their payout at $500,000. As for In-Ho, the front man, he isn't doing this for money, since as a former winner he doesn't struggle financially. Still, he should receive some form of salary, so let's say $1 million per edition. The waiters would be paid the same as the circle guards, which adds another $500,000. Finally, the recruiters likely earn more than the triangle guards, since they take on higher risks, especially exposing their faces. I'd estimate their salary at $100,000 each. With 10 recruiters, that adds another $1 million. Altogether, the total salary for Squid Game employees would amount to approximately $36.675 million. So we've covered the players and the guards, but what about the location itself? When searching online, I couldn't find any selling prices for private islands in South Korea, so I expanded my search to the rest of Asia and found a pretty good fit. Bait Island in Indonesia, which is about 118 acres, is large enough for a massive development project like the Squid Game facility. The island was listed at $8.9 million. For transportation, we saw players being picked up in vans. More specifically, the guards used second-generation Hyundai Grand Star X vans to transport players. This multi-purpose vehicle, MPV, is popular in South Korea and across Asia. It seats up to 12 passengers and has a spacious interior, making it a perfect choice for the scenes where players were driven to the game venue. We saw Gi-hoon being picked up with 3 other players, but considering the van's full capacity of 12 seats, it's safe to assume each vehicle was packed with players. This means it would take about 38 vans to transport all 456 players. At a cost of about $22,000 per vehicle, the total comes to $836,000. At the end of Season 3, we also got a clearer look at the ferry used to move players and staff in and out of the island. The closest real-world match is the Grand Republic, which has a capacity of 1,000 people and 120 cars. Its estimated price is $15 million. Now, onto the facility itself, the hardest part to estimate, but let's break it down as best as possible. First off, the transport beds used for moving unconscious players. The cheapest similar option I could find on Alibaba costs about $300 each. With 456 players, that totals around $136,860. The dormitory beds are much cheaper. They're just standard bunk beds. A basic 3-bed metal bunk frame costs about $100, meaning roughly $33 per player. With low-quality mattresses and bedding, let's round the total cost of each player's sleeping setup to $100. Altogether, that's about $45,600. Food is even cheaper. While it seems players only eat once a day, I actually think they're given 2 small meals, considering how little food each portion contains. The lunchbox meal, which includes rice, kimchi, sausage, black beans, and an egg, plus bottled water, comes to around $1.67 per player. Raw potatoes, which were given as another meal, cost about 20 cents each, so let's call it $1 per player. The kimbap meal, which also came with a bottle of Coke and a fork, comes to about $2.62 per player. So, with all these variations, the average cost per meal works out to about $1.85 per player. And since the guards don't seem to be treated much better than the players, we can assume circle and triangle guards get food in the same price range, with maybe slightly better meals for the square guards. But the biggest food expense comes at the final dinner, before the last game. I genuinely believe that the finalists are served the best food and wine possible, a twisted form of congratulations for surviving that far. A Michelin-style dinner like that would cost around $180 per person. To simplify, instead of calculating food after every round, let's just take the total number of players and staff, about 900 people, and assume they're all fed daily. At $1.8 per meal, that comes to $1,620 per day, plus the final dinner splurge, making it around $4,000 in total food expenses. Finally, the uniforms. Both player and guard uniforms likely don't cost more than $10 per set. With around 900 total outfits, that's another $9,000. Moving on to some of the more expensive equipment, the guards' weapons. The guards use a variety of firearms and tools to enforce the games, with their primary weapon being the Heckler & Koch MP5 submachine gun, and their sidearm being the Smith & Wesson Model 19 revolver. They're also equipped with tasers and switchblades for non-lethal or close-quarters enforcement. The MP5 costs around $12,000. The Smith & Wesson revolver is about $900. Tasers are around $400 each, and switchblades about $200 each. This means that fully arming a single guard costs about $13,500. With 125 triangle guards and 60 square guards, the total comes to approximately $2.5 million. But that's not all. During the first game, we also saw the use of Heckler & Koch PSG-1 sniper rifles, which cost around $8,000 each, assuming around 40 triangle guards were stationed as snipers during that game. This adds another $320,000 to the total equipment cost. Now let's move on to the last transportation vehicle, the VIP helicopter. And when it comes to the VIPS, Squid Game doesn't cut corners. They'd want the best of the best. The closest real-world equivalent I found is the Bell 525 Relentless, a large twin-engine helicopter designed for VIP and offshore transport. Its estimated price is around $15 million. Finally, we come to the biggest variable of all, the facility itself and the infrastructure needed to build it. To analyze this, I compared it to similar large-scale buildings, and the closest equivalent is an Amazon warehouse. Standard warehouse construction costs are usually between $10 and $20 per square foot. However, because the Squid Game facility is entirely underground, the price jumps significantly. Mining and excavation raise the cost to between $50 and $150 per square foot. For this estimate, I'll go with the higher end, since the facility is built to be reused for multiple editions of the games. We know from the show that rooms are reused and remodeled between seasons. For example, the Dalgona and the six-legged pentathlon took place in the same space. The tug-of-war room was also remodeled for Jump Rope and Sky Squid Game. This suggests that the developers invested in durable, high-quality construction and materials, so the infrastructure wouldn't need to be rebuilt every time. I asked ChatGPT for references, and according to its data, the most comparable facility is the Amazon Fulfillment Center in Waterbury, Naugatuck, Connecticut, which covers about 3.2 million square feet. At first glance, that may seem massive, but considering the scale of the sets we saw, like the jump rope field or the Sky Squid Game arena, that estimate doesn't seem far off. Add in the unique set designs on top of the raw construction costs, and the total estimate for the Squid Game facility comes to $480 million. The last thing we're going to analyze from the Squid Game facility is technology and surveillance. I'm referring not just to what we see in the dorms, but also the real-world operations, tracking players, investigating their backgrounds, and maintaining control over the entire system. This includes 24/7 monitoring and control rooms, drones, cameras, AI tracking, communication systems, server infrastructure with backups, speakers, screens, and lighting. Once again, I think Squid Game would spend as much as possible here because this is the backbone of the entire operation. Looking at how much multinational firms spend on similar technology, costs vary between $200 and $500 million. Considering that Squid Game operates in secret for at least 30 years, it's safe to assume their tech is top-notch and extremely hard to detect. So, we'll estimate on the high end of the spectrum. Next, let's talk about bribes, which are absolutely necessary to run this operation. Looking at South Korean history, we have a few references. The Furgate scandal in the late 1990s involved estimated losses from bribery of around $165 million. And the Kim Keon-hee case, where the former First Lady allegedly received approximately $57,631 in bribes. If one bribe is around $58,000 and the biggest scandal reached $165 million, we can reasonably speculate that total bribes for Squid Game operations could reach around $200 million per year. Think about it. 456 people disappear every year, and someone with massive debts suddenly gains $33 million without raising any suspicion. The organizers would need to be extremely well connected for that to go unnoticed. To cover miscellaneous costs, like fuel and other minor expenses, we can add another $100,000. Now let's calculate all the expenses and see how much it would cost to create your own real-life Squid Game. Before I reveal the answer, drop your guesses in the comments. Are you ready for the big reveal? The total cost of the operation is approximately $1.29 billion. Not too much when you think about what those games involved, right? To put it in perspective, Elon Musk's net worth is $436 billion. If he wanted to secretly finance his own version of Squid Game, he would only need to spend about 0.29% of his net worth. Those numbers are incredible on paper, but they also reveal a dark truth. Seeing how much money and power the elite truly hold, a real-life Squid Game doesn't feel so impossible anymore. What do you think? Could there be twisted billionaires trying something similar, or is this strictly a TV fantasy? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you think my calculations are off, don't hesitate to correct me.